For the timing exercise, you want to start with a pivot animation where you'll be able to see the speed changes quite well. So once you have that animation segment completed, you go into Export Animation, and you're going to create a new folder so you'll be able to find your images. So I'm going to call this Frames, and in this Frames folder I'm going to call this Timing, so it has a name, and I'm going to go in here, call Separate Images, and when I click Save, I can choose JPEGs, and it will create a separate animation with all of the pictures in it frame by frame. Now, I don't need the Pivot Animator anymore, but I have to switch to my Animator Professional, and now I need to bring all those images in. So I can take all those images and drop them into the animation. That's probably our easiest way to do it. Now, the trick here is if I have every frame once and I step through the frames, just as I did before, that would be my regular timing. Now, if I want to play around with the timing rate, I have to go into Options, and I can go into MPEG Output Settings. And instead of using 15 frames per second, I'm going to use 4 times that. So I'm going to make this 60 frames per second and say OK. And now to get the same speed, what I have to do is I have to change every frame to 4. So I have to go through and make every frame 4 and so on. And then for changing the timing, once I get to the end of the list, I can import those same frames again. And I can bring them all in again. And this time, you can see it goes to 39 and it starts at 0 again. This time, if I want to speed it up, I have to use fewer frames than 4. And if I want to make it slower, I have to use more frames than 4. But that is a matter of timing, and we can discuss that, but that's the mechanics of it. So if I wanted to speed up, I could start with 4 and do a number of frames at 4, and then I can go and remember, if you do 4 or 5 frames, it's a very short period of time. And then if you go to 3 frames for a few frames, and then he'll slow down, and then you can, or actually he'll speed up, and you can do 2 frames for a few frames, and that'll slow him down. So it's not an abrupt change in speed, but then if you want to speed him up, then you're going down all the way down to 1. If you want to slow him down, you can increase the number, and you could make that 4, 8, 12, 16, or however many frames you want to, and almost to the point of making him freeze and then start up again. And so you can make your 3 versions of timing by 3 times bringing those files, bringing all that in. And once you're done, go File, Export. And because we changed around the MPEG settings, you want to make sure that you export it as an MPEG. Otherwise, if you export it as an AVI, that would not work. So you have to make sure you export it as an MPEG, and you'd be all set.